Hey y'all, it's Ruby. So today I'm just gonna tell a story. It's gonna be hard. It was a very difficult time for me. So it's definitely gonna be a hard story. So trigger warning. Um, so last year, around the end of September, I started feeling very depressed. So I went to a counselor and a psychiatrist and asked them to change my meds. Um, that turned out to be a bad decision. Other things happened, including me basically being evicted out of a home I was staying in, having to move back in with my parents. Um, I was And right before that happened, right before that eviction thing happened, it wasn't eviction, it was moving back in with my parents. And right before that happened, someone I trusted really betrayed my trust in a very terrible, degrading way. So I was just out of place. I felt suicidal. I was getting super paranoid. It was just really, really hard. So after I moved back in with my parents, I was there for a little bit and I was on this new medication that was obviously making things worse. Um, it was medication that often gets prescribed to patients that have schizophrenia, and they prescribed it to me as a mood stabilizer for my bipolar disorder. So, on that medication, I was completely out of it. All I could feel was stress and worry and pain. I shook like I had tremors. I was like thrusted into this extreme manic episode where I could get maybe 2 hours of sleep at night. And if I wasn't up walking around the entire time, I was worried or I was shaking or I was freaking out, like pulling at my hair, freaking out. Um, when this was going on, my best friend at the time was a fisher. He fished in Alaska and he had to leave for 2 weeks. And I wrote to him. I didn't send anything. I just wrote in a notebook because I didn't feel like I had anyone with me. No one was there for me, even though my family obviously was. Um, I was still in school and I got to the point where I couldn't function. I couldn't write. I was shaking so much that I couldn't write my own name. Um, I was screaming and tearing at my hair, scratching myself, and physically like hurting myself in multiple ways. Sometimes cutting Other times it was more it was more punching myself in the face or slapping myself or like almost drawing blood by squeezing and scratching at myself, tearing at my hair, squeezing cheek like babies do. Um, it was bad. It was so terrible. I needed to get out of it somehow. So I would try and kill myself. I I knew my dad carried a gun, so I fought him for it. I fought him hard for it. Um, on my way to a freeway overpass, I uh, I don't know if I called my mom or if my mom called me, but I was saying bye to my mom. She was crying hysterically on the phone, and my dad just kind of swoops in. He's driving his work truck towards me, and then he just grabs my arm and like puts me in the truck, and mom's just like, take her to a hospital. Um, my dad didn't want to take me to the hospital, but I went to school. My dad sat outside of my classroom to know that I wasn't gonna like try and escape and kill myself. Um, this is heavy. I'm sorry. Um, so so after that, mom and I kind of finally convinced my dad to take me to the hospital. I was in the hospital once before. It was during spring. It was because someone took me off my mood stabilizer, and I had a um, psychologically abusive professor. Uh, yeah, no, I still need to report him. But anyways, so that was the first time I was in the hospital was during the spring. But like this incident that I'm talking about happened during the fall. Um, so I knew that a hospital did me good before. It did help. Even though afterwards, right after I got out of the hospital, my significant other at the time, he broke up with me. Actually, excuse me. We just called things off. He couldn't handle it. I couldn't handle his parenting. It wasn't my child. It was definitely not my child, but it was something that I didn't agree with how he like raised her or whatnot. Anywho, so I did I went to the hospital while I was with him, and then when I got out, yeah, but that was before summer. um After summer was the problem. One event after another happened. The traumatic experience with a trusted friend, family drama, uh, housing issues. I couldn't find a job because I hadn't graduated yet. And it was all so much. And I had two classes. Each of them were 5 credits, so they were full-time classes. Um, so when I went to the hospital in the fall, it the entire time I was hypervigilant. I was distant, antisocial, scared, hurt. and so, so, so paranoid. Um, I was paranoid because I didn't think people loved me. No one called me. No one was there. No one visited besides my mom. She was there the entire time. Um, it was so difficult. It was harder than the first time I went. The first time I went, I liked the people and stuff, but this time I couldn't go outside at all. It was on the top floor of a 7-story hospital. Yeah, can't open a window, of course. Don't want nobody jumping out. So at this hospital, Uh, by like the third day, I kind of warmed up to some people. I met this guy named Marcus, Youngblood. I'm sorry, I just have to say his last name because he went by Youngblood. Um, and like, it was difficult, but I was hoping it was helping. And it kind of was. Um, I slept more. I didn't have as much shaking by like day 4. People commented and noticed the difference that I was making during like group sessions and stuff. So that was reassuring, but the outside world didn't care. It was like when you're in a mental health hospital for a while, your life is on pause. Well, everyone else's keeps going. And sometimes it's not even your choice to pause your life. This time it was my choice. So by the end, I wanted to like go to my nephew's birthday party or something like that. And I I was just like, okay, yeah, I'm ready to get out. And I lied about like certain things. Like they always ask certain things like, do you want to hurt yourself? Do you want to harm other people? Are you seeing or hearing things? So I just lied. I was just like, yeah, I'm fine. um, so after that, I lived with my grandma for a little bit just because it was like maybe this will help. The distance from the house that I had childhood traumas at, maybe this will help. It didn't. It was isolating and boring, which like my grandma warned me about that. It was not what I needed. So by that time, I was still not doing so great. I was heavily reading like Job just because I know a ton of bad stuff happened to him, but he was still faithful and so I was reading Job. um, and then I was reading one other book and that was like, I could only read very small parts or I had to listen to audiobook or something like that. And I was able to sit down and I was able to sleep at night for at least 4 hours. And after that, like by the end of the week, it was only 1 week. By the end of the week, I had this follow up appointment with a psychiatrist to see if I was stable. And I wasn't. So I went to a psychiatrist appointment to talk to her and just like go through things. And she's just like, you need to go to a hospital. You need to go to a hospital. And like got one of the nurses to come help. Yeah. So I had to stay there, wait for my mom to come pick me up. And then we went to Olympia to go to the hospital there, hoping that I could stay in a facility there, which is my mom works near Olympia, so that would have been better. But no, they put me down near Seattle. Again, it was the second time at the same exact place. Um, and then I actually saw people that I met the first time I was there who were unstable again. Uh, I didn't have a suicide attempt that time. It was just um, active thoughts of how I would do it, where I would go, and stuff like that. Um, but I didn't act on it. I was just scared that I might. I was at the hospital. I met some cool people. I was doing a bit better. And by day four, like the end of the fourth day, I was doing so much better. They put me on lithium again, but they also put me on antidepressants and stuff like that, and anti-anxiety, which that's another story for another time. um, but for the most part, I was doing a lot better. And this time, I actually had emotion in my voice. I didn't have emotion in my voice besides anxiety. Like you can hear me shaking in my voice. Um, but that was the first time in 3 months that I had emotion in my voice. I called my mom and she's just like, "You sound so much better." So like stuff like that. Just it was so insane, and I felt hopeful for the first time in 3 months of pain and agony. One day when I was walking because I couldn't do anything else, I walked over 20 miles in terrible shoes until my feet hurt so much that it hurt to step on them. But because I had to walk, I kept walking. And that's all I did for like 3 days. I felt tethered to the house. Felt like it was always trying to pull me back and close me. Um, guess I'm a wandering spirit, but I've never had the chance to do something about that. And being in the hospital, being locked on the 7th floor was not helping too much, but thankfully they put me on the right meds to where it did help. I know this is a long video and I'm very sorry about that, but this is some topic that I feel is highly important to understand the excitement of what's happening tomorrow. Tomorrow, I will have a job, have my associates, which I have had for a while. I will have a job, associates, and mostly permanent housing for the first time in my life. I will have an actual job, and I should be starting Monday. And I'm going to move into this house that's permanent or semi-permanent tomorrow. I'm gonna move in. How exciting is that? I went from no hope, trying to kill myself, ending up in the hospital twice, having voices go through my head about, "You're never gonna make it." I never thought I would get a job. How the heck am I gonna get a job? I'm not a fit person to be alive, let alone have a job and have a house. And that was my extreme belief just a year ago. So the excitement is not just because, oh, I got a job. It's, oh my gosh, I am capable. I am going to be successful. I have this for me. I got this going for me. I got this. I have a job, a place to stay, really great roommates, amazing parents who are helping me with the move, amazing uncle and aunt letting me stay in their house for a week while this all gets situated. I have this going for me. And it's so surprising. I thought I would end up dead by this time. I thought I'd be dead last year. But here I am with not only but a job in a field that I am so passionate about. Early childhood education. Education, early childhood, teaching, and helping people. Those are four things that I'm so passionate about. And guess what? I have a job that allows me to feel the need to grow in those passions. Okay, I don't think anyone's gonna watch this far through, but if you did, please, please go ahead and share this just to give a message to other people that there is hope, even though you are diagnosed with 8 different things, even though you thought you wouldn't make it, even though you thought you would be dead by this point. Look at this. Look at me. I made it. I'm doing this. I have what it takes, and so do you. It is so important to know that, because when you are in a moment of hurt, in a moment of complete pain and anxiety and depression and just having those suicidal ideation, it's hard to think logically. It is so hard. You can't think of the future because you don't think you'll have one. You think you'll be dead by the end of the day. When you think that, if you have that short-term goal of just death, just hold out a little longer, because something amazing will happen. Something amazing is going to spring up like a geyser, just that springs up and just waters and makes everything around you grow and become beautiful. Even though it's not always going to be perfect, there is better chances. There are more open doors if you just wait a little longer. If you just have that little bit of hope that will take you to the point that I'm at now, that point that is this hurdle of life, and I just stepped over it. And so can you. I know this is a super long video and I keep saying that, but it's so important. I am so excited to start this new life. I am so happy to be able to share it. And I just want to give hope to people. I just want to make sure that people understand you got this. You are worthy. You are capable. Anyways, this is Ruby signing off. Bye.